am Pamela Butterfly, and I thank y'all for joining me. Um, this video is going to be about race and the construct of racism. This is Sunday Sermons. I am Pamela Butterfly. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can know when I post or I go live, things like that, okay? So, the reason why I want to discuss racism is because it's very important to talk about. A lot of people try to avoid having these conversations, but I don't want to talk about what everyone else is talking about as far as racism, but the construct of race, how this all came to be, why it is, how it all ties into what scripture wrote, because they are creating this reality. Nothing never changed. The agenda is still the same. Now, the players may change, and you might have people who, again, like in the past, they help slaves get away. They help people get away. They took people in, things like that. So there's nothing that's new here. Everything is still running its course like it's always been. So if we are going to go by scripture, scripture tells us from the beginning, like there was already a hatred there between the first race and the last, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. Okay, the A and the O. So they also use these letters and blood types to show something. However, I think a lot of these things are backwards when it comes to blood type, but that's another discussion. When we're talking about race, we're talking about major race groups. Now, the major race groups, we have to follow nature, because nature doesn't lie to us. Nature tells us everything we need to know. Nature lets us know that there's a learning process here. You can birds chirp, dogs bark, cats meow. There's nothing out of order. Nature runs its course. The only thing that's out of course is mankind. And this is what makes and causes nature to be off. So you have mankind who's part nature and part something else, part spirit, energy. So it's not fully something that of a higher intelligence is distinguished here between animals and man. So when we talk about man, we're talking about, a lot of people think about Adam and Eve. Now, we got to give names for these people, then fine, whatever. But we're going to talk about reality. So, because the first day is night and the sky was dark before there was any lights in it, it was nothing but darkness. So they're giving you as above, so below. So they're giving you spiritual, and they're giving you material on this plane, showing how man was created. So, and what it looked like, or because this is the prototype. So you have different prototypes. You have man, you have woman, you have both, who were born with both. So when you get into who these people are who were born with both and what they look like, because they also give you they give you the backwards version of Eve coming from Adam, instead of what we know today to be the person coming from the womb of the woman. So when they say that, they are describing like fish-like people, self-creating people. Now these self-creating creatures were like fish because these people came from the waters. Now when they came from the waters, again, the first day is night. So just like as above, without any lights shown in it, it was dark. But light was in it. It just had not been, not to say created, but materialized yet to where it became visible. So when the people or person came from those waters, just like in the black race especially, you will see how a child can be born light but have maybe dark ears or little dark knuckles or something like that, that you can tell this child is going to be dark skinned regardless. The only thing that is taking this color from it fully is the fact that it's not exposed to light, to the sun. Because once you enter into earth from your mother's womb, that's a completely different world. And this is why they give us, they say that our birthday start from the time we come from our mother's womb. That's when we start counting in our days because we are entering into a new world. Now, that thing that entered into a new world had to have been of male species because again what nature shows us is that the female has the hole, meaning there's a portal, okay, and there's something that has to go in the portal or something that was already in that portal. Now give me just a second, I gotta let these people know that I'm live. So, when we're talking about portals, we're talking about the female species. She is in, he hangs out. Now, again, we're going to talk about not only the construct of racism and race and stuff, but we got to talk about these people first and how these people came to be and why they were created the way they were created and why they were first. Because this really does matter and it all ties in. So, in the mother's womb, there's this dark child, okay? Because obviously the mother is dark, and she's already been exposed to this atmospheric air. Okay, she's already been exposed to earth air, and not only earth air to change what's going on internally within the organs and things like that, because now this fish can breathe out of water. Okay, just like in the womb, the baby is carried in a fluid, in amniotic fluid. So this baby is breathing through this water just like a fish. Now, once this baby is born into the world, now it's breathing a different type of air. So with this air changes things within you. Now we're going to talk about the sun because we're talking about the fact that this dark being that came from the waters, the only reason why this being became dark because in the womb it was light. And again, if you look at a baby, let's say who's you are dark skinned and your mate is likely dark skinned, likely you'll have a dark skinned child. Look at that child when it's born. Some babies that's going to be very dark, they already come out grayish looking because they're going to be dark. But it's because of the water whitening them in a sense of what biblically or spiritually of what the Bible will say the water whitens them. So this is really what's happening, and it's keeping the color from coming through simply because it's not exposed to light because it's in the mother's womb. As soon as it enters into earth and that sun hits that child is going to start to take in the sun and start to darken up to its natural tone of was going to be before it even got here. Because again, you can tell the child's going to be dark from the ears and the certain parts of the body. So this is what gives us our tone, is that sun. Now the first people, these people had to get used to a new world, like being a fish out of water, so to speak. Now these people, again, like fish, they multiply, right? The process isn't important, it's the fact that they multiply. Now when they multiply, because we're starting with a color, and because we see color around us, we know that color exists. We know that color is a factor. Color matters. It distinguishes things from each other. It helps us to identify with certain things. So dark was there, and then light appeared. When the light appeared as the end result of white. Now, we may not can tell looking above that there are different colors there. You know, you have blues, you got yellows, things like that, and stars that's there. So you're going to have that here in the prototype of mankind. So this is going to show us that from darkness comes light. So as above, so below, the dark people give birth to all other races that's going to come from it, from an end result, the lighter people, the lightest that it can get. Because it's starting off as the darkest that it can get. It's like the sky is as dark as it can get. It's the same process, as above, so below. So here on earth, again, the child is already going to be dark, even when it's in the mother's womb or in the waters. Once it comes from out of the waters, and the sun hits it, the sun starts to tan and darken the skin. Now, what makes a difference between the black to white and you have the in-between is the factor of the sun. Now, the sun, S-U-N, plays a role in these people. It shows blood type as far as what blood shows to get the skin to take in the sun to tan it, to what skin cannot take the sun and it burns it, and it causes problems because it's not native to that sun. It doesn't belong in the sun. So they're showing you that there are differences. You have, just like the sun and the moon are different, and you see them as the one light, one dark. The sky to the lights, one light, one dark. So when you get down to the people, and we're talking about major races of people, you have, well, 5 major races now. At first, they started off, before they even started to have a construct of race or even talk about race, they labeled it off as 4 groups. So you had the black, red, yellow, white. The black people were the people who took to the sun and they tanned in a certain way, and they had the sun did their hair a certain way. So these people were distinguished as the blacks. The red people were the people who, when the sun took to them, it turned them more of a reddish or lighter kind of tone of brown, to where it looks more red now. These are the people who are descendants from the black ones, and you see the watering down system. Now this is showing how the sun played on the people from the let's say internally out, because they're talking about blood, to skin. So you have a process of this watering down that's happening, or a process of where these people can't get in the sun and tan but so much because the blood is now watered down because of the mixing and the transmutation that's happening. Now, when you get down to the yellow people, these people are what they would consider back then to be the Asians. So with the yellow skin. So you went from black to red to yellow. So now with the yellow, that's showing that these people are too now more away from the sun. So their skin don't get but so dark. So now you get to the color white. And white being the exact opposite of the beginning, which is black, which is dark. So you have this process that started in the beginning, and now it's turned to the exact and equal opposite of itself. So this is giving you the construct of race from black to white. White being the last that it can be washed out. The blood can't be washed out anymore, but it still has the black blood in it, which is the beginning, because prototype of man, like I said in the beginning, the body matters, right? So the body's going to go through many changes depending upon the sun and how the sun, how the skin takes in that sunlight, that sun ray. So when you get to the white and you see that the sun can only take some of the white, but it can't take all of the white people. So some white people, when they get in the sun, it burns or has a totally different reaction. It makes them sick, where it causes some people to be, gives them life. It causes some people to cause them death. So this is about nature playing on itself. So everything relates to nature, right? Now, when you're talking about mankind, and as I was saying about how mankind can be, they are the different ones of the earth. They are the creators and the manifestors and the musicians and the constructors of the earth, because of the intelligence that they have. Now, this is just not here, but the body is intelligent within itself, showing us how the sun, how our body takes to the sun, and how some people don't take to the sun. There are moon people. That's why the moon is there, because they too were drawn to something, starting from above, as above, so below. So you have the first people who are drawn to the exact opposite of what they came from. So you have the darkness who's drawn to the light. And then you have the exact opposite happening with the last race as well, with the white being drawn to the moon. The darkness encompasses that light. It holds that light. And it also shows us in nature that, again, when I was speaking about certain black races, that in the womb, they are already dark in some spots. The only reason why they haven't gotten as dark is because they have not been exposed to the sun and nature yet. They're still in a different world in that mother's womb in the waters, as if the first being had come from the ocean of the waters. Okay, that valley. So when the first being, and this being is dark, she is holding light within her. So that's showing that darkness that we see, and also that light compared to it, because that darkness is literally holding and encompassing the light. Is more darkness than it is light. And the same thing here on earth is just shows what relates to the sun. So they're going to show you that more nature relates to the sun, the animals and all these things, right? Not all of the animals. Some of them go out and sunbathe, and then some of them they don't need exposure. They don't want exposure to the sun. Their exposure is in the water. They like water. And that is what keeps them, let's say, again, like the Bible will say, pure or white or light, something like that. It's something within the waters that changes that being. And also too, if you go to the beach, and you've been in water for a long time, your skin starts to shrivel up and it starts to change a different color. That also shows us too that the water changes. It washes, it literally kind of washes you, washes your skin or washes your complexion. So that water changes, it really changes a life form and what that life form would look like. So, that's just the short version of race and how it even came to be. So when you talk about racism, we already know from history, again, the fight between the beginning black and the end white. There's always been a feud of superiority, because both are superior as being alpha and omega, the beginning and the end. So there's always been a who's at the top. Now the people in the middle are both black and white, because these people are, again, when from the black everything comes from. So white, being the last, has to go back into the yellow, back into the red, and back into the black, and they create different people of why we have so many different cultures. Because these cultures has, these people, these races has mixed up with each beginning major race to create different cultures, to show that they are different. They are not the same, even though they come from maybe the same, I might look like you, a part of me look like you, but a part of me look like somebody else. So these two people don't even identify. They have now created their own culture. We call it race, but culture. So some people call them tribes. It don't matter, whatever. So this is just showing you that there's always been a love-hate relationship between races. Now, in today's time, because black was first, black ran the world for a very long time. And then the children of the world, which would be the red, yellow, and the white that came from the black, these people each dominated the world at their own separate times. Now, being that the last race, again, the white race, is at the end, and they too are dominant, because they are showing that they stand as a race on their own. They stand as a blood type on their own. And this is just speaking spiritually and physically, that there is a process of, yes, we don't need this, right? But you need, just like the light needs the dark and the dark needs the light, these things are together for a reason. They work together in unison for a reason. So until we can figure out why this race, you have a race that feels superior to another one, and then they're fighting for Earth and the dominion of Earth. You're going to have these problems between the first and the last, because the first always had. And now the last, because even the Bible will speak about, the first always had, it's the last who was starving. And now we're never going to starve again. So Jesus came to set something straight. Again, he came as a child to his mother, and set something straight. Came and changed the whole thing from old to new. So it's the same process that happens in race. It's the same process that happens in racism. So I don't want to go too long on. I just want to get real deep for a quick minute. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that way you know when I go live every Sunday at 3. I do drop videos in between. So if you are interested and you like what you see, please don't forget to like the video, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed. And I am going to go ahead on and get off, and I will talk to you later.